I am going to go ahead and get rolling. By way of review, again, this is part 2. Part 1 we did last Thursday, in which we covered all of the showing within the showing time system, all of the ways in which you can schedule a showing using both a single showing for a single family home, or using the showing cart to show 5 or 6 homes in succession and how to do that quickly. If you need some review on that, I would encourage you to go back to last week's video, which is posted on our YouTube channel. Review that. It's a good 25-30 minute review of that lesson, and that'll prepare you more for what we're going to do today. Today, we are actually switching gears, and instead of talking about using the showing time tool for scheduling showings, and when you're working with a buyer, we're going to flip the script, and we're actually going to talk about it when you have a listing, how to use the showing time tool. Okay, you're going to use that showing time for your listings and your listing setup, but also for feedback, and we're going to show you the tips and tricks on how to collect that feedback the most efficiently and centralize it in one place. Okay. Any questions before we get rolling?
Yeah, so Jay, I just thought about this. This may come with last week. I was thinking of a good way to go back to showing time for tax purposes for mileage. Do you have any tricks on that? I saw that you can see, because it does give you the mileage between, like if you do a cart. Any tips on that?
In theory, it wasn't really intended for that purpose. Could you possibly use it for that purpose? Maybe, but I don't know that it would meet the IRS's criteria for you to claim it as a deductible. My strongest suggestion for that is there are other programs, there are other technologies and software tools that are available. I personally use Mile IQ, which is a Microsoft product that is on your phone, and it literally tracks every single place where you go, and it asks you to record your mileage, whether it was business or personal. And that to me is the more efficient way to do it. And like I said, I mean, I think probably last year I deducted somewhere between $6,000 and $7,000 in mileage just from using
Wow.
Mile IQ, and that's an easy report to pull. If you're worried about, do I have to record after every drive and swipe left for personal and swipe right for whatever for business, it's not that difficult. I only do it once a week. I get a little email reminder on Monday morning that says, hey, record your drives from last week. I pull it up on my laptop and I look at my calendar and go, yeah, that was business, that was personal. It takes a matter of 5 minutes once a week.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, hopefully that's helpful. All right, I am going to launch into showing time. And so you all should be looking at my matrix screen. Is that accurate? All right, wonderful. So within the matrix system, I always launch showing time from within matrix. The easiest way to do this is go to your matrix, and your showing time is one of your external links. I always keep this external links right here on my dashboard. You can move it around if you want it at the top or the bottom or whatever, wherever you're used to making it appear. If you don't have it appear, you can actually make it appear. If you have it X'd out, you can make it look bigger and pull it up and make it large. How did I just do this? Listing data tracker. I don't know how I just made it disappear, y'all. Where did it go? Here it is, external links. Now I just need to make it bigger. There it is. Thank you all. All right, so showing time right here, launched from within here. That opens up your main screen within showing time. All of the tools that we talked about last week are under showings, how that you can schedule showings, how that you can see what is being shown on your current listings, how to do a showing cart. This is where we focused our attention on under the showings module within showing cart last week. Now, this week, we're going to go to the listing setup module. All right. Your view of this is going to look a little bit differently. Your view might look just like this. All right. When you go to your listing setup, only the listings that you currently have are going to be visible here. Unfortunately, because I'm a broker, I can see everybody's stuff on here. So maybe in a minute, I'm going to show you mine, but if anybody wants to look at their own active listings that they may have on the market to see how their setup is arranged, we can look at that too in just a second. So this is my current listing, a land listing that I have in Rockmart on Braswell Road. Here is my client's information. I have this linked to 2 MLSs, and let's go and dive deep into the listing setup. Okay. So this brings you to your initial setup. The way to do this is pretty much just going down through each one of these menu items. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to do this until your listing goes live on the market. Once it immediately goes live on the market, then you can come in and change all of these settings for you. By the way, everything that I'm showing you, the help desk can do for you. They just need to have the information of what you want to be included in here, like your client's contact information and how they want to receive notifications for showings. But to me, I like knowing how to do all this stuff myself personally, and maybe you are the same. And so this is how you do it. You go into your showing instructions for your property and you can say, I want it to be appointment required, courtesy call, or go and show, or view instructions only. Does everybody understand how these are structured and how those work? If you don't, they're listed literally right there. One of the things that I advocate that you do when you have a new listing is that you do not be the central point of contact for everything on your listing with showings with your client, that you actually include your client in all of these activities by loading them right here next to your name. If you are the only person to receive the showing requests, then that makes you the bottleneck, right? Y'all with me on this one? If only you are the one to receive the notifications, what happens if you're busy showing 5 other properties to a client and you're not seeing that notification for the next 3 hours and they want to see it in 2 hours? You could be the bottleneck. So don't be the bottleneck. Load your client into here, let them be the one to approve and disapprove of the showings, and you are the one to actually get the notifications of them. Everybody follow me on that? Okay, let's show you how to do that. All right, so the first thing that you have to do is add your owner and occupant, and it's this little button right here that brings you up and it says add new, and you're going to put in your client's contact information right there. Okay, that's going to put them in here, and then you're going to designate how they are to confirm appointments or receive notifications of appointments. And you can structure this any number of different ways. I'm sorry, am I not sharing my
I'm
screen?
not seeing your screen.
Yeah.
There we go.
Sorry, I didn't finish.
you
There we go. Thank you, folks. You guys got to keep me straight. All right, so you actually go in and add owner occupy, fill in the details here with phone number, email address, how they want to receive receive offers to the contact automatically. Ooh, that's a new feature that they just did with this offer, send an offer through the system. By the way, I don't recommend anybody use that. All right. But you could also add an existing, everybody see kind of how you can add your client information to this, which is exactly what I did to add my client into here. And then I said they can confirm appointments via text or email. The other options is a push notification. A push notification is if they have the actual showing time app on their phone, which, by the way, I recommend that you advocate your sellers do exactly that. It's a nice feature to have. The other thing is showing voice, and that is a phone call that goes to your client that says, hey, somebody has requested a showing at your home at 3 o'clock today. You have 3 choices: accept, decline, or propose a new time. All right.
Jay,
So that's how.
can I interrupt you?
Go ahead.
So I wasn't even aware of the push notification thing. So do they just go onto apps and then go to showing time and what app do they download?
So actually, when you set your client up on this the first time and you enter their email address, they're going to get an email to that email address that's going to say, "Hey, Jay Willard, your agent has signed you up for use of in the showing time system. There will be a link for them to download the app right there.
Oh,
They go into the showing time app, and then they can monitor showing time, can allows them more tools to be able to look up on a calendar and go, okay, Saturday, the wife and husband can sit down and go, okay, we have a showing at 10, noon, and 1. What are you going to do with the kids between 10 and noon? I'll take them at 1. It gives them all of that tools right at their fingertips in their phone.
that's awesome.
Okay.
Okay.
So Jay, I'm sorry. So you need to check push in order for them to receive that email?
Yes. No, in order for them to receive the push notifications of future showings to this showing time app, then the push needs to be in there. They will get that notification regardless through either text or email. Me personally, I don't like using the showing time push apps. I just don't, for whatever reason. Text and email is perfectly adequate for me in most cases.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So, and also I kind of skipped over this, but you can do the appointment required. I didn't skip over it. We did talk about this. The other thing we talked about very, very briefly was which showing time template you want to collect for feedback. Most people use the standard showing time template, but we actually have a Century 21 Connect template that I strongly am an advocate of. I've actually adapted it to myself, and I've created my own in there, which you have the ability to do also. All right, there's a couple other settings on here. Allow real-time availability for broker websites. Yes, that is a nice feature that is actually a new one that's come into here. Lead time, if you have a client that says, I don't want any same day appointments, say they work from home, you can easily check these and do the suggested or required lead time and set these up to where, hey, you've got a client that only wants to have 24-hour notice. You can come right down here, make that change. I'm going to undo those changes just because I'm not going to mess with a real one here. All right.
And
You
Jay,
can also
does that show up in the private notes, or where on the listing, or how does?
It does not actually show up in the private notes, but what it simply will do is when they go to request an appointment, if it's within that 1 hour lead time, it shows it out as a blocked appointment. They can't actually request the appointment during that time.
Okay.
Okay. The other thing that I love about this, and this can make your life very easy, is the access information and details. In my particular case, for this particular property, there is a gate code. So I was able to put those details right into the showing time notification, and it actually sends the client the details of the gate code when they get the confirmation of the appointment. Okay. You can type in additional instructions. In this case, you can select from a predefined list. These are great if you're trying to inform clients about the cat that you don't want them to escape from the garage. You can put those kind of notes in here. What to do with the lock, how to resecure everything, don't touch the thermostat, all of the things that we typically want to tell anybody that is showing our client. And these help you to, how do I say this, to allay your seller's concerns about opening their home to strangers by saying, hey, I'll be able to put instructions in to say what to do with the cat. You don't need to worry about the cat. We'll take care of those. And this is how you do it. All right. I also have, here's a great example of why you want to use these. Unfortunately, if you notice, my property here is because it's a land lot, you'll see this a lot. It doesn't have a street address yet, a US postal address. So it's 0 Braswell Road, but in my particular case, that's not the GPS address that people can use. So here I was able to put a note in saying, hey, this is the GPS address that you want to use. Everybody follow me so far?
Yep.
Okay. Lastly, showing restrictions. This is the tab at the top. So here you're under showing instructions. Showing restrictions allows you to enter restrictions so that your client doesn't have to worry about, hey, I'm having company this weekend and I don't want to deal with showings. You know what? No problem. Here's a simple fix. I'm going to add a new showing restrictions, and let's say weekend, and we're going to do, and this is an all-day restriction, and it's going to be from, let's say my client doesn't want to show anything this weekend from the 2nd, and we're going to do a repeat, and we're going to do it actually from the 2nd through the 4th, and that is what, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Save the showing restriction. Following appointments are currently requested. So it's actually telling me you already have a showing during that time frame. What do you want to do with it? I'm just going to keep that appointment. But now what you see is this time is blocked. No one will be able to go in and schedule an appointment during those times. Okay, obviously, I'm going to delete this because this is a live listing and I don't want that in there. So now you see it's gone. Okay, everybody with me so far?
Yep.
Showing instructions and showing restrictions are all right there. Now then, let's talk about the tabs over to the side. I am a huge fan of the listing activity report. All right, the listing activity report is your collective brain on everything that has happened during this listing during the time that it has been on the market. Okay, this shows me, first off, we've got some basic information at the top. I can tell my client when we're in our weekly reviews, we've had 30 showings total. We've had 10 appointments in the last 30 days and 4 in the last week. Previews have been 2, number of agent inquiries 0, and then we start seeing graphing over time. So if any of you have spent more than 5 minutes with me when we've talked about listings, you'll hear me say the criteria that we are looking for in a listing is we should get 3 to 5 showings per week, and for every 10 to 15 showings, we should be receiving an offer. Okay. That's part of my standard script that I have on every listing. This is how we're going to measure that. So again, remember the goal is 3 to 5 showings per week. We didn't get but 1 showing this first week. Looks like the week of October 2nd, we had almost none. Then we had 2 showings, one. Wasn't until we started getting into March, April, and May that we started seeing more than our criteria. And that was because guess what happened during these times? We did some price reductions during that time frame. And that's when we started getting traffic. Okay. So when I sit down with my client, this is a report that I can print, I can download it and email it to them, I could send it to them. But this is when we are going to sit down and review their listing on a regular basis and say, how are we doing? So week 1 can look at the frequency of transactions. Then we could look at the feedback that we have received so far and see what everybody is saying. And when you see it graphically, this helps a lot. So of all of the showings that we have had 0 people that said that they were very interested in this property. We have had 4 say that they're somewhat interested, 3 that says they're maybe, and 4 that says they don't like it. Not faring well for this land lot, right? I know. They're not telling me anything I don't know. It's a hard lot to sell. All right. Then below these answers, so this is graphically illustrating all of the answers that you're seeing down below to the feedback responses. And here they all are. And so these are the questions that I actually asked these clients or these agents and got their responses from them. Notice sometimes you see that I have not shared this. Notice this is the collection point that I just love about this is you do not want to be the central depository of all of this information. You want to collect this in one place. Okay, I know a lot of agents that are like, well, after the showing has completed, I always call the listing agent. and then I get the feedback from them. Well, that's great. And you're probably hanging up the phone with that listing agent, and then you're calling your seller and passing that information on to them. That's fine. I'm glad you're doing that, but it's not recorded anywhere. It's not going to be collected in one place to where you can refer back to it later. And trust me, you're going to want it later. Okay. Most of if you're a new licensee, you haven't been in this market long enough to know that homes do actually stay on the market for more than 2 or 3 weeks in most cases. We are in a very strong seller's market right now, but trust me, if you're 2 months into the listing and you don't remember what happened 3 weeks ago on the showing time feedback that you had then, you're going to wish you had it collected in one place. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay. Share my screen one more time. All right. So here is the feedback. Once you get it, you publish it to your client, and then you are no longer the filter of this. They're getting it straight from the horse's mouth. But now let's continue down on the showing time feedback report, listing activity details. Here's where you see all of the showings that you've had on the property and who showed it. And how do we access? Okay, so you actually can leave notes in here too. And in this case, I didn't receive feedback from this particular agent on a past showing, but I want to get that feedback. Okay, so let me tell you how I get that. I come back in here after a showing has taken place, maybe on a Monday or Tuesday, and I review all the showings that I had, and I will sit down and I will go, okay, here was a showing. I'm going to pick up my phone and I'm going to call this particular agent at 706-5126. I'm going to call them and say, hey, Simone, this is Jay Willard with Century 21. You showed my home at XYZ, and I am looking to get some information from you. Actually, I'm going to do the Karen Foster here because she didn't actually leave feedback. And I'm going to click on this manage button. Does this look familiar to everybody? This is the actual showing time feedback form that the agent would fill out if she had volunteered to do so. But now I'm on the phone with this particular agent, and I can fill in these answers and record what their feedback was. That is automatically going to save it now into this folder, and it's going to make it easily accessible. It is recorded in perpetuity. And at some point in the near future, I can come in here and I can download a PDF of this entire report, the showing and the feedback report, and I'm gonna actually show it to you. It's gonna look just like this highly professional document, and all of this information is gonna be here, and all of their feedback is gonna be recorded on these pages. Now, if you've never had a listing before, if you've never had to fight with a seller that doesn't want to adjust their price, that doesn't believe the feedback that they're getting, if you can sit down, shove this piece of paper in front of them and say, listen, this is not my opinion, this is cold, hard, objective data, and here is the proof of that cold, hard, objective data, that will win you the argument of a price reduction every time. Am I right on this? Beth is an experienced agent. She's shaking her head. She knows what I'm talking about. If you're able to present information and know that you're not just making these recommendations willy-nilly, that you don't just lick your finger, stick it in the air and figure out which way the wind is blowing and that's the way you go. You're making your recommendations based off of cold, hard, objective data is guiding your recommendations to them. This is how you prove it to them. This is how you show it to them. And this tool helps you collect it all in one place and get it out to the world. Everybody with me on this? All right. Use this tool to your best advantage. Did I show you everything in here? I feel like I'm missing something. Hang on a second. Let me look at one more thing. Oh, I know what I wanted to show you. We've got 2 more minutes and I'm going to show you one more thing.
Jay, this might be asking too much of this program, but is there any way that you could set up like a weekly cadence that it automatically goes to the client? Anything like that possibly?
I don't know that it does it on a weekly basis other than, I mean, I typically schedule, when I have a listing, I at the beginning of the listing, I sit down with my clients and I say, all right, Thursday at 3 is when I typically do my follow-up calls on my activities. And I
Okay.
book that appointment with them. And what I will do is I will come in here and click the email report, and I'll plug their email in right here, and I'll send this to them in preparation before.
Perfect. Okay.
Make sense? Okay, let me show you one other little thing. All right. Say, who here, has anybody ever had a listing that was vacant, that didn't have people in it, and you were concerned that somebody was going in? You know, agents will drive by if they're in the neighborhood, and they'll peek in the window and see if it's vacant, and they might just go in without showing the property, right? Without scheduling a showing appointment. It does happen. Don't recommend that you do that, but it does happen. If it does happen, you can get notification through the super system that somebody opened the door, right? Then you can come in and add activity. I've actually had agents that didn't schedule, that I will go in and I'll say, okay, you showed it to me. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say, you showed my house, today or today at 9 a.m. And let's say it was somebody named Clavis. Do I have a Clavis? Let's search for Clavis. Oh my gosh, she was in Century 20. She's a Century 21. And now I'm going to hit save. And I am actually recording the fact that she showed my property, even though she never requested an appointment. And you see this manage feedback right here? When you check that, she's automatically going to get a showing time feedback request form from me. So now I have a way of even collecting feedback from somebody that didn't even request the showing in the first place, right? Great tool. Absolutely fabulous tool. Strongly recommend that everybody use it, that you use it for what it is worth. You know what? I'm going to show you one other tool on here for your listings. Clavis, go ahead.
Yeah, where do you see that? Where do you search to know that someone went in without requesting the on the activity or showing? Where do you see that?
Okay, so actually that is not within the showing time system. That's within the Supra iBox system.
Super iBox. Okay.
Yeah, so that's your blue box. You can set that up with a notification. Anytime somebody opens that blue box, you, the agent, can receive a notification. And the seller, if you set it up right, you can actually have the seller receive a notification.
Okay. Perfect.
Which is a nice little thing to have, because if it's a wife with a small infant or something like that, and she's literally pushing a stroller around the neighborhood waiting to go home, it's kind of nice to know that the showing that was scheduled, they arrive 15 minutes late and they're done now, and I can go home and put my baby to bed. That's what you want. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we break off? Okay, hopefully I showed you something that you didn't know existed before, gave you some information and tools that you can use in managing your listings. Our next get together will be Moxie Monday at 11:30 in the training room, and we'll be doing basically a Moxie orientation for everybody that is brand spanking new. Okay.
Perfect.
All right, everybody.